The great thing about the world of gadgets and technology is that everything moves so fast. Take, for example, the iPod. It's been around for, what, about 5 years? But already we've seen 8 different versions, only 3 of which are still in the shops.
Chances are that in another 5 years or so, something completely new will have arrived to make this thing obsolete. The iPod will take its place in gadget history, alongside other greats that have been and gone, like the Walkman, the ZX Spectrum and the Game Boy.
In fact, very few classic gadgets ever enjoy a shelf life of more than a few years. And if they do, the tail end is usually a long, slow death, well away from the limelight they once basked in. But of course, there are exceptions, and this is one.
This turntable was first launched upon the world in 1972. It underwent an upgrade in 1978, but since then has pretty much remained unchanged. It's played a major part in actually creating a whole musical genre, and for the last 30 years or so, it's been the tool of choice for DJs in almost every club around the world.
It's about as classic as a gadget can get. It's the Technics SL1200.
But why has this one machine remained so dominant for all that time? Well, we thought the best person to ask would be a superstar DJ. So we looked up DJs in the Oxford English Dictionary. There's only one listed: Pete Tong.
When I started out DJing, you were taking a turntable that you would use at home and take it into a club. This thing, it grew up in a club.
Previously, record decks had been belt-driven and pretty fragile, but the Technics, with its direct drive motorised turntable and robust design, allowed a completely new style of DJ to emerge.
It got in there first, I suppose, is the best way of putting it, and nobody's been able to dislodge it from number one. Many other companies have come along with a perfectly good turntable that looks very, very similar, but it's just not quite right. It's a professional piece of kit. The weight of the turntable, the kind of instant response of the start-stop, it's just 33 or 45. This little thing was always a great gadget, which was the torch. In a dark DJ booth, you can just about make out what's on the label, and obviously you can also see where to put the needle on the record. The pitch control, the first professional turntable to introduce pitch control. Obviously you would adjust the pitch, you would increase the speed, or you'd decrease the speed. Very, very simple. And then the red one over here on the side of the on-off button, the strobing effect. When that is still, it means that you're definitely at 45 RPM or 33. And obviously if you start to move the pitch control, you'll see the red dots that are moving slowly start to accelerate. And similarly, they'll go back the other way. I suppose the only reason they're introduced is if you've got some female that's hanging over your turntables, you know, and they're leaning over this bit, then obviously you can check whether your record's going too fast or too slow, something like that. No. And the last thing, although I'm playing a house record for you here, is just, you know, back cue, you know, very, very true. So many turntables, when you put the needle on the record and go like that very fast, it will jump off. But it delivers the promise. It hardly ever breaks down. In fact, I don't think I've ever had an SL1200 break down.
It's a pretty good advert for it, isn't it?
I know, and it just sounds fantastic. I mean, it always works.
Although the Technics SL1200 is still hugely popular, many DJs have found that digital music has given them a whole new box of tricks to play with. A little later, I'll be showing all you budding DJs just how you could become the next Pete Tong. We'll take a look at some very simple digital solutions that you can use without ever leaving your bedroom.
Now it's time to return to the subject of digital music mixing. In the past, any budding DJ would need boxes of vinyl, a posse to carry those boxes, decks, and of course, one of these great big glittery balls. These days, with compressed music files, digital music players and fast home computers, you can carry your whole collection around in your pocket.
And there's loads of digital hardware and software packages out there designed to turn you into the next Armand van Helden, Milo or Pete Tong.
So are these digital mixing desks actually any good? Or are they just toys offering a bit of fun? We've lined up 3 promising models and we're going to ask Pete Tong to try and do his thing.
First up is Mixman Studio Pro, which downloads as a free demo version and includes a few music files to get you going.
Initial thoughts?
Not very impressed, really. There's loads of things like this around as kind of freeware. It seems to be very clunky and very slow, but you load tracks into your computer, you can then select them on these turntables. I can work out how to put a track on the other turntable here.
But when it comes to actually mixing the two together...
But actually coming and mixing them, it is not intuitive at all, because once you press play here, it plays both of them.
The Mixman is definitely not user-friendly, and on this demo version, even the beats per minute control didn't work. And can you imagine using something like this in Manumission?
If you ever took this into a club, you look like you're checking your emails.
Next up is this Hercules DJ Control MP3 deck, which plugs into your PC to access your music files. But also, it has quite a few tricks of its own.
This is beginning to look more like the kind of professional models on the market. So you put it on, you cue, you can actually increase the volume, manipulate the speed as well. You've got treble, middle and bottom end. It's got, you know, it's laid out pretty much like a proper mixer, and the manipulation's pretty good.
The longer he used it, the more impressed Pete became with the features on the Hercules, especially with its range of samples and effects. So, did he feel it was a good intro into the world of DJing?
The next generation of DJs needn't really ever use turntables or CDs. You could quietly, literally exist in a total kind of digital, you know, AIFF, MP3, WAV file world. Which is, yes, a shame to the traditionalists, I suppose, but it is the future.
Our final option is the £229 Numark iDJ mixing deck, designed to mix 2 iPods. But these aren't included, so you could be talking about 650 quid if you're setting up from scratch.
I think this is massive novelty value. This is definitely toys for boys. It's got a wow factor as soon as you see it, but in actual fact, all it's doing is enabling you to segue a piece of music from one iPod without a break into the other one.
Because the Numark can't vary the speeds of the tracks on the iPod, it isn't possible to match beats, which is an essential part of DJing.
The minute that they solve that problem, this thing's going to become dangerous, because then it really would have a much greater functionality.
So, if you're planning to become the next chemical brother or sister, forget the Numark and the freeware and pay £180 for the Hercules. It could be the best investment you ever make.